قرآن واسق حياتي قرآن.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we'll learn 10 lessons from Juz 29. Let's go to our first lesson.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور.
The first lesson we learn from this juz is giving importance to the quality of deeds and not the quantity. A believer focuses on quality of deeds he does and not the superficial quantity of it. Small deed with sincerity is better than big deed with wrong intention and show off. On the day of judgment, Allah will reward or punish people according to the quality of deeds and niyat and not according to the quantity.
قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير.
The second lesson we learn from this juz is live a life where Quran and Sunnat are focal point. In a believer's life, Quran and Sunnat are main criteria of living. This verse shows how the inmates of hell will regret not following the Quran and Sunnat of Prophet. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, "Man kana aqilan kana lahu deen, wa man kana lahu deen dakhala al-jannah." Therefore, a mu'min tries to live a life where Quran and Sunnah are the main focal points.
فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير.
The third lesson we get from this juz is refrain from hidden sins. Hidden sins are the sins which are committed in private. The gist of the hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says the person who fears Allah, controls his desires and avoids sins, Allah will make fire of hell haram on him. Therefore, a mu'min should try to stay away from hidden and secret sins. The main sources of these hidden and secret sins are gadgets and mobiles.
هماز مشاء بنميم.
The fourth lesson we learn from this juz is refrain from gossiping. A believer knows that slandering, gossiping, and backbiting will affect his soul, hence he refrains from it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions talebearer here. Talebearing means spreading words against people matters that they dislike to divulge for the purpose of entrapping them.
عتل بعد ذلك زنيم.
The fifth lesson we get from this juz is refrain from overeating. A believer eats with the intention that the energy he gets from that food he will use and utilize in getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, he avoids overeating. He eats in limit and not to one's full capacity. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "La tashba'u fayutfa nur al-ma'rifati min qulubikum." This shows that don't eat up to full stomach, as it will reduce the enlightenment of your heart.
فليس له اليوم هاهنا حميم.
The sixth lesson we get from this juz is to encourage others to do good. A believer does good and also encourages others to do good. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Kullu ma'rufin sadaqah wad-dalu 'ala al-khair." The gist of the hadith is that all the pleasant actions are considered as charity, and for the person who guides others to do good is as if he has done the good deed himself.
وقال نوح رب لا تذر على الأرض من الكافرين ديارا إنك إن تذرهم يضلوا عبادك ولا يلدوا إلا فاجرا كفارا رب اغفر لي ولوالدي ولمن دخل بيتي مؤمنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات ولا تزد الظالمين إلا تبارا.
The seventh lesson we get from this juz is pray for your believing brother. A believer always prays for the fellow believer. Imam Baqir alayhi salam says, أوشك دعوة وأسرع إجابة دعاء المرء. Allah accepts the prayer of a believer which is done on behalf of his believing brother immediately. We know that prayers connect us to Allah and this act is liked by Him. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, My Lord, forgive me and my parents and whoever enters my house in faith. Therefore, believers should pray for each other, especially for their parents.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا.
The eighth lesson we get from this juz is reciting Quran beautifully with tartil. A believer should try to recite Quran beautifully, understand its meaning and follows it practically. Do not recite Quran just to finish the surahs in hurry. Rather, try to recite it nicely and gradually contemplate on its meaning in order to apply the teachings of Quran in our lives.
وثيابك فطهر.
The ninth lesson we learn from this juz is external purity. Now here it is the external purity, but it can also apply to the purity of deeds. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, تنظفوا بكل ما استطعتم فإن الله تعالى بنى الإسلام على النظافة ولن يدخل الجنة إلا كل نظيف. The gist of the hadith is, it says, try to maintain state of purity to your highest capacity, because Islam's pillar is based on purity and cleanliness. Therefore, a believer keeps his both external and internal purity in check always.
ولا تمنن تستكثر.
The last lesson we learned from this juz is, do not devaluate your deeds by showing off. Do not show off your deeds to others and lose their sanctity and value. A believer must not do a deed to be in good book of others, but should do it purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His pleasure. Prophet told his ashab that a person who recites subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala plants a tree in Jannah. By hearing this, one asks, if this is the way, then there must be many trees for us in the paradise. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yes, but you must be aware that you don't set fire from here to burn them all down. These were the 10 lessons. Inshallah, we'll come again with the 10 lessons of the next juz. Till then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رحمن يا رحمن ساعدني يا رحمن اشرح صدري قرآن املأ